So what happened in your match with Ira?
I was expecting him to kind of hang back a little bit, but he did the opposite. He came out and like pressure, and just never ever let me get a rhythm. Sit!
Well, today is lesson 2, and after seeing Ian the first time, I think that he's a very capable player. He obviously likes to come to the net. He's got really good hands. He's got good reflexes. He's quick. I like his game. I like how he builds points. I think we need to add a little bit of more spin on his forehand. I think that would be important for him, just to play some points from the baseline if he has to, with our main goal being to get to the net, to try to put pressure on opponents and try to finish points at net. I think he's a good server. He hits his spots really well with the serve. And today we're gonna try to follow up in session 2 with the serve and the +1, and then hopefully put him in situations where he can then come forward and apply some pressure. You're gonna hit everything to the deuce corner.
Okay.
And I'm gonna move you around.
Okay. During our session today, Eric first started off by just moving me side to side and just kind of stressing that transition from forehand to backhand. And I think this is dual purpose of just intensity and fitness and continuing to work on my legs and my cardio.
Good job. Remember, our focus is just getting the legs set and then go. Sometimes the backhand drops a little bit too low.
Yeah.
Try to catch it a little bit more by your waist, you know?
Okay. Seems really simple, but me being so far out of shape in terms of responding during an intense exchange, like this basic kind of training as I move back and forth is really critical just for me to get some fundamental like baseline of fitness and intensity while trying to hit a solid shot. My legs feel real heavy really fast today. I felt like I recovered really quickly, but I got a really long ways to go.
Yeah, you'll be ready.
Next, Eric brought me to the net, and this is where kind of pattern-specific stuff first started to show up. And I think after our first session together, he realized that my strengths are more so at the net than they are at the baseline. So the simple exchange that he had set up where I was targeting one side with the first volley and then putting the ball away to the other side, which is really simple pattern of setting up and establishing an opponent on one side, working on positioning myself correctly so that I could cover passing shots effectively, and then simply putting the ball to the other side.
Quick drink, yeah.
You went easy on me last time. Wow.
Backhand slice.
Wow.
Backhand slice up the line.
Okay.
Yep, nice and firm. Close it in. Closing volley. And then we're gonna add an overhead, okay?
Next, Coach Eric added in the approach shot and made it, again, a little bit more well-rounded and kind of more real-life point scenario kind of specific. So he had me taking the percentage geometrical pattern of approaching down the line, setting up the point by isolating my opponent to one side, and then putting away an overhead afterwards, after making the approach in the first volley. And so he had me, I think, focus on the slice just simply because that's a stronger shot for me right now. Easy for him to pick up that's a kind of a comfort shot for me is the slice. And he didn't try to stress or kind of develop the topspin. And on the forehand side, we're continuing to really emphasize the looseness of my hand and wrist and forearm to hit it aggressively and solidly without kind of guiding that low shot into play. Just can't keep up.
Good job, good job. No, you're doing well. The intensity is good, but that's our goal.
Next, Eric took away the rally kind of environment and started hand tossing instead. This is where things kind of start crossing more over into kind of a high performance kind of environment where the emphasis really was just on working me really hard. And like he easily could have done this from the other side of the court, but doing just kind of underhand tosses, it's really easy for him to control how much running I have to do on every single shot, make it really precise on his end. And so the emphasis really was on footwork and quickness, getting me to close forwards very quickly, take the ball as high as possible before it dropped, and then try to angle it off and put it away. The emphasis here was on the forehand, first doing my forehand side, and then crossing over and having me hit inside in my forehand down the line to a righty's backhand. And this is where the intensity really started to kind of ramp up. Up until this point, it was kind of more standard, pretty easygoing patterns. Like, I was moving quite a bit, but this type of drill really starts to get things ramped up really high as far as heart rate is concerned. Next to Eric included the serve. He put out targets for me to aim for, 1 through 8 different serve locations across both the deuce side and the ad side. And so he had me call out my serve target, and then he would basically just kind of block back the return. And then my goal was to hit a forehand on whatever return he put back in play and hit it aggressively to the open court. So this is what is referred to generally as like a serve plus one kind of training scenario, where the whole goal, the whole purpose is to be very specific and very purposeful about what is the pattern I'm trying to establish here. Rather than just hit like a general, trying to hit a good serve to like any old target, the whole point is to elicit a particular response and then have in mind already the follow-up shot to the serve, so you can purposefully set yourself up with patterns that benefit your individual strengths. So that's what Eric was having me do with the serve plus one training. Really, really critical. If you want to beat a good player, it's not going to happen on accident. So this type of targeting, both for the serve location and then for the follow-up shot location, is really necessary. If I'm going to beat somebody like Ira, it's not going to happen by just hitting any old serve. Just hitting the serve hard is not good enough. Just hitting the serve with a lot of spin is not good enough. And even hitting a serve hard or with spin, to a corner, that in and of itself is not, he sees that. That's not enough of a challenge to just win points. There has to be some kind of strategy, some kind of pattern behind why pace or spin and to which location, so that there's a follow-up shot that goes hand in hand with it that then gives me the upper hand more. One-off, single shots are not good enough to beat good players. So that's why serve plus one is so important, and I really enjoyed spending that time with that drill. So the theme today definitely, there's kind of two things. First of all, Eric really increased the intensity level. You can tell he's really trying to push me hard on a capacity, a physical capacity side of things, which is critical. My legs are still heavy. I mean, it's only our second training session, so I'm on the second step of climbing the mountain of getting back into high level shape or conditioning again. So I'm still very early there, and I can feel that he definitely has a goal of kind of breaking me down so that I can, build back stronger and get my conditioning going. But in terms of the actual focus of my game development, we did a lot of really specific pattern and strategy and putting together 1-2 punches, and he's obviously tailoring that around the shots that I want to hit. We didn't hit a lot of backhands today. The emphasis was more on my forehand, which is clearly the stronger shot. When I did hit backhands, it was specific. It was situationally specific. And so it's the slice, down the line, pattern, and then following up with the volley. And so we did baseline patterns, we did net patterns, setting up really specific situations, and then hitting to a particular target to set up a certain play. And then we finished today off with serve plus one. And so we did baseline, we did net, we did serve. The only thing we didn't really do today was return of serve, but everything else, the common thread was being very purposeful about here's your strengths, Like, this is what we're trying to maximize in your points. This is what we're kind of trying, you know, if I could go a whole match without having to hit backhands, that would be a good thing for me. Obviously, that's not realistic, but this training was all about maximizing my strengths, minimizing my weaknesses, but being smart about when I do have to use my weaknesses, but more importantly, structuring a point sequence so that it's in my favor. And that type of training in a high intensity environment like this pays dividends down the road when I play more competitive matches against Ira or anybody else. The whole point is to make these types of patterns second nature, so that, like, I've already done it 1,000 times. Yeah, I've already hit my backhand slice down the line and then volley to an open court 1,000 times, so that in real life when it happens, it's just kind of on autopilot. And I already have in mind the pattern that is beneficial to me and puts the most stress as possible on my opponent. So seeing everything kind of start to come together a little bit in terms of like shots working together and specific patterns, you know, getting trained. It's really definitely exciting for me because I can see how things are starting to come together. The fitness side of things still needs a tremendous amount of work, and just general stroke like comfort still needs a lot of work too. You know, I'm not hitting anywhere close to like my best shots yet, but at least I can start to see the kind of the bigger picture, and that's a lot of fun.